Welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. Today is October 27th, 2019, and man, I am so far behind. So what we're going to do today is check on our two weakest nuke colonies. So that's colony number 1, and colony 1 has been combined already. It's 1 and 5. And also we're going to check the new number 5 location, and that's the tiny swarm that came from back over here behind the old barn in the woods. It was a little bitty swarm that we grew up throughout the end of the summer, and another tiny swarm showed up, and I combined it with the previous tiny swarm, so it's like tiny swarm squared now. So we're going to get in there. So they had a good looking queen, so I'm going to get in there and check that one out. Hive number 1, that queen is really old, and she may not even be there now. So if she's not, we'll go ahead and combine them. Depending on the looks of these two hives, we might combine them anyway. But I'm hoping I can nurse them through winter in the nuke boxes and grow them up next spring, but we'll see. So that's what we're going to do today, is get in there and check on those two nuke hives, and let's make a decision. So are we going to combine them or not? So that's what we're going to do. So let's get started. Okay, here's our 1 and 5 combined hives. So they look pretty good there on the entrance. So we got our smoker lit just in case. I don't plan on using much smoke. I never plan on using much smoke, and sometimes my plans change. Rainwater. The sun's setting right at my back. I hope that doesn't make a problem on the video there. Got a couple cucarachas. 1 hive beetle. Don't see a lot of bees up here. Okay, so this is a totally empty frame. There's no nectar or anything in it, which for a hive you're about to overwinter, that's not a good thing. So if we find all these frames up top empty, we'll just take this off of here. Here's another empty one. Not a lot of bees up top. They're all down below. Again, totally empty. There's nothing in it. Another totally empty. I think this one here is a honey frame, or it was. Yeah. There's just a little bit of honey right there. You can see them working on it. So let's go down into the bottom. If we find an empty frame down there, we'll put that honey frame in its place and get rid of this top box. This top box needs to go. There's not hardly any bees up here. So this here's is what we're looking for. Decent population of bees covering the frames. So that's more what we're looking for. You can see there's a lot more bees in the frames. That top box, I bet there wasn't 30 bees up there. I'm going to give them just a little bit of smoke. This box don't weigh nothing. So this frame, although there's quite a few bees on it, there's nothing in it. It's just empty comb. So I think I'm going to take that other one, that had a little bit of honey and put it in its place. I'm going to set it right here for now. This frame has a little bit of weight to it. There's a lot of bees on there, and there's no honey or nothing. Here we've got honey, capped, and nectar. The bees are pretty bunched up, so it's going to be hard to see the queen if there is one. So this frame has honey at the top, nectar below, and this frame is the same. It's all shiny nectar right in here. So they're not in as bad a shape as I thought. They're not starving yet. That shiny nectar is probably from when I was feeding them, 2 to 1. Same thing here. That's a fairly full frame. Wish I'd see that queen though. And we got capped honey here at the top, and a little bit of nectar below. And here's a frame that's got a little bit of nectar in the middle where all the bees are bunched up. So I started going back through the frames and I found our queen. She is right there. So they are not queenless. I am not going to combine Man, that sun's terrible. I got to keep moving the camera. So I'm going to, this frame is the one that didn't have anything in it. There's a lot of bees on it. So I'm going to shake this off in the hive, get the bees off it. And I'm replacing it with this frame here that had just that little bit of honey right there. So this one went in before that one. I pulled it out to give me room to shake that frame. So there's a decent nuke-sized population in this hive. So they don't need that big box on top of them that they have to heat with their body heat. So we're going to get rid of that. Shake these few bees off that are on these frames. Okay, that's it. So we're going to just put this lid on here. And I may replace this lid with a different style later. But for now, that's going to help keep those bees a lot warmer. Because their heat, the way it was, their heat's going to go all up into that empty box. This will help keep them warm. And I forgot the beetle traps, of course. Make sure I get the right one back. Okay, so it's a queen right nuke. Getting rid of this top box they don't need. And moved a frame of honey down in there. Or a little bit of honey anyway. So we'll take this one up and get it in storage and protect these frames. And I will make a nuke shim to put sugar on this hive. There's not enough nectar in there for them to make it all the way through winter. I think that population would have it emptied out probably in January. So we'll put a couple inches of granulated sugar on here. So let's go check on number 5, tiny swarm. Okay, here's the tiny swarm squared. And I started some robin with that feeder there, and I choked their entrance down really small. So, because it was pretty bad robin going on. So they're coming and going out of that little crack. Let's get in there and see what it looks like. Before we get done, I want to take that feeder off and fix their entrance. I'll leave a little bit bigger hole. We've got a pretty good population right here. Let's smoke them just a little bit. This hive, last time I opened it, was just full of hive beetles. I bet I smashed probably 30 of them on this lid. Today there's 3, so that's a good sign. Now 4. And I'm going to press down on these beetle traps in case there's any underneath the sides of them, because they like to hide under them. That's one bad thing about these beetle blasters. They don't. The beetles can get under them a little bit on the sides and hide out. It's full of dead beetles. Man, that one is just completely full of dead beetles. Check that out. That black, it's just solid beetles. Pretty gross. It works though. There's a link to those down in my comments. They sell them on Amazon. Packs of 20 now, so you don't have to. When I got them from Man Lake, I'd always throw them in to get my order up over $100, so I get the free shipping. So if you have Amazon Prime, you don't have to worry about that now. All right, let's get in here and see what it looks like. See a nice population of bees, not bad. It's a little bit of capped honey right there around the top. Same here. It's capped at the top and there's nectar below. A little bit of nectar right here, shiny. A little bit of pollen mixed in there too. So we might see some brood on this next frame over. The frame's very light. And there's our queen. There's a few capped cells on here. There she is. Marked green for this year. She's a supersedure queen. What that means is I put a frame in with this swarm when it was over behind the barn that had brood and eggs on it. And the few bees that were there pulled down a queen cell and made that queen because they were queenless. It was a tiny queenless swarm. So there's a little bit of pollen. We got some pollen in here and shiny nectar right here. A little bit of nectar on that side. Well, when it's cool out, and it's probably about 60 degrees right now because the sun's setting, that propolis gets hard. Okay, got some capped honey and nectar there, and capped honey on that side, and that's a bunch of capped honey right there, and a bunch on this side. So for food stores, they're doing pretty good with those that last frame. So we're still going to feed them though. That big ball of bees. So they look pretty good in there. We saw the queen. I didn't see, I don't think I saw one hive beetle down in there at all on the frames. I'm going to leave the hive beetle traps out. I'm going to put this on top to give it a little more weight because it doesn't weigh much. It might blow away. So now I'm going to work on this entrance. See if I can make it a little more user-friendly. So they're used to this, seeing this big block right here, so I'm going to keep it there. Yeah, that's perfect. Gives them about a ½ inch space there is all they have to defend. Okay, so both these little nukes are doing fairly good. Considering they're going into winter, it's not a good thing that they're still nukes, but it is what it is. We could combine them, but there's queens in each one, so I don't want to do that. I could put them in a side-by-side deep box I have that will hold 2 nukes, so they could share the warmth. But I think I'm going to just go with it the way they are. That double box thing I have isn't really set up yet, and it's not painted, so I'd need to paint it. So that's just another project that I don't have time to do. So we're going to go with it the way they are. I could stack them or maybe even set them side by side, but then I got to worry about orienting and all of that. So I'm just going to go with this for now. I've got some little bubble pack insulation I may put around to help them out a little bit with warmth, and I can put a piece of tar paper on the top to give them, that'll help give them a little warmth too. But one thing for sure we are going to do is put, I'm going to build some spacers for nuke size and get some sugar on top of them about 2 inches, and that should give them plenty to eat going into springtime next spring. So we'll have to check on them on nice days and see how they're doing. If they start having a lot of cold deaths, the bees on the outside of the cluster freeze and fall off and die, they start losing mass. So we have to watch for that on these cold days. And we'll have some days it'll get down, you know, around 0 degrees in Oklahoma, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And it'll be that way for about a week, you know, into January, February. We have some really cold spells, and that's when these little hives like this take a beating. So that and skunks, which I've got a fence now I put around this, electric fence to keep the skunks off. So the skunks like picking on these little hives too. So anyway, that's it. Give me a thumbs up, and before you leave, don't forget to subscribe. I'm almost to 4,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? So anyway, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next video. Take care.